On New Year's Eve 2004, I was in a car accident. My sister was in the car with me, and she was able to go back into high school and finish her senior year. But I spent the first 2 months of 2005 hospitalized with traumatic brain injury. Since the first few weeks of that year, people weren't sure if I was going to live or not because I was still in a coma. Traumatic brain injury, or TBI, occurs when one injures one's head. For me, my brain expanded like I had a huge ego. This increased size does mean that certain parts in the brain do not work well, though the parts differ for each person. As the brain heals, those parts that were lost begin to return back. In some extent, however, one develops a new person because of all the changes in the brain. TBI also has symptoms similar to dyslexia and ADHD for short attention span and reading and writing coherently. When I came out of the hospital, I didn't really know who God was. I started to kind of learn a little bit in going back to church and in reading Psalms and Proverbs and Job. Job was an interesting. We've had an accident and a lot of things have changed. But I was angry with God. I agreed with Job a lot. I didn't understand why God had wanted to change me so much. I had liked what the old Suzanna had been doing, where she was in her life, academically, socially, what have you. But it was through looking at stuff online, like what salvation was, and when I found a site that kind of described what that was step by step, that's when I really started to re-believe, I guess, in God and in Jesus Christ as my Savior. Just like how Lazarus died and Jesus rose him back again. That was a lot of my story. Fall 2005, I re-entered Gordon as a full-time student with theology, history, and lab science classes. That was a hard semester intellectually because Gordon's academic requirements are a lot harder than that community school. My lab science included math, which I had relearned earlier that year. Trying to figure out and remember theology and feelings for others was hard because I was still struggling to figure out what emotions were in general. One of the things in coming back was the friend change. My aunt found a website that said that people with TBI can lose around 90% of their friends because of the way that people try to understand someone with a new disability, in the very lowly sense that I needed help, that I was, I don't know, just a really small person and like, I guess, incredibly disabled and couldn't really do anything. So a lot of those friends kind of drifted off in the way that they judged me in my disability. But then also there were friends who stayed true, who would come back and who happily asked me if I needed help or not, or if just wanted to go and hang out and do something fun. My learning style changed. My social life and interests changed, but some things still stayed the same. I was going to do a pike on church or religious history before, but because of my GPA now, I just picked classes that would fulfill that. I still love to learn, love to run, love to learn languages and play the flute in band. I still love to be around kids because that was the, if only, the summer that I was at home, that I couldn't be a camp counselor. I still think about my goal from 8th grade to be a history teacher, though now there are just a few new aspects around that. I didn't wipe off my school, college goals because I have a disability and am still recovering. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away, but let the name of the Lord be praised. For nothing is impossible with God.